Yesterday morning, a single headline moved faster than any update in this case has moved in 3 months. A human bone found near Nancy Guthrie's home. That was it. That was all most people saw before their thumbs stopped scrolling. And for a few hours, while phones lit up and comment sections filled and the clips spread from feed to feed, hundreds of thousands of people who have been carrying this case for 100 days sat with the same feeling. Not hope exactly, something harder than hope. The feeling of a door that has been sealed for 100 days suddenly showing a crack of light underneath it. Then the investigators confirmed what the bone was, and the door sealed again. This is what happened yesterday, all of it, the timeline, the confirmed findings, and the one question the discovery did not answer, the same one it has been since January 31st. Welcome to American Case File, reconstructing the last known hours before everything changed. If this case has had your attention, stay with this video, because what happened yesterday is not just a footnote, it is a window into exactly where this investigation stands right now, 100 days in. And at the end of this video, we are going to tell you what is coming on this channel tomorrow, because the next video in this series may be the most disturbing update we have covered yet. Start with the person who found it. Not law enforcement, not FBI agents with ground-penetrating radar, not search teams organized by the Sheriff's Department. A YouTube live streamer. A private citizen with a camera covering ground in the desert near Tucson, Arizona, live, on camera, in real time, as part of what has become a sustained months-long civilian effort to find answers that the official investigation has not yet produced publicly. At approximately 10 a.m. on May 7th, that streamer found what appeared to be a bone in the desert. The clip was live when it happened. Within minutes, it was everywhere.
Okay. They're sending someone. They transferred me. I talked to this first lady, and then the second lady wanted more details and asking me like how long the bone is, and I was like, it looks like it could be my leg bone. Like, it looks long enough like that. So, and I had to, yeah, that's crazy, guys. So I just found a bone. It looks like a leg bone. We're not gonna touch it anymore. Yeah, I told them I would stay until they came. Yeah, it looks like a leg bone, guys. I hope they're coming right out. She was like, I'm gonna send it over, and if an officer's available, they'll be right out. I would think they would come. Yeah, it looks like a leg bone, guys. I hope they're coming right out. She was like,
That footage, a private citizen live on YouTube in the desert near a missing woman's home, is its own kind of document, not of what was found, but of what 100 days without an answer looks like on the ground. When private individuals with live streams are covering desert terrain around an active missing persons case, that is what an investigation without a public resolution produces. A community that cannot stop looking because the official record has not given them a reason to stop. The Tucson Police Department responded to the call at approximately 10 a.m. Police arrived, secured the area, and initiated an assessment. The bone was confirmed human. At that point, every person following this case was carrying the same weight. Human, near Tucson, near her home. 100 days of no answers, and suddenly a confirmed human bone in the desert. Then the investigation moved quickly and in a specific direction. The University of Arizona's Department of Anthropology was called in. The Pima County Office of the Medical Examiner assisted. Both institutions examined the find. Their combined assessment was documented and released. The official statement from Tucson Police Department spokesperson James Horton was direct. This will be a prehistoric anthropological investigation, not a criminal investigation. The bone was human. It was ancient. Investigators estimated it was at least 50 years old, possibly prehistoric, entirely unconnected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Not Nancy, not recent, not connected. This is not the first time civilian eyes have reached somewhere official investigations have not. In 2021, a group of amateur sleuths using publicly available satellite imagery identified a campsite connected to the Gabby Petito case before law enforcement had publicly located it. That tip, sourced from a private citizen watching a YouTube travel vlog frame by frame, directed investigators to the Wyoming wilderness where Petito's remains were later found. In the Molly Tibbetts case, a private citizen reviewing publicly available surveillance footage from a local farm identified the suspect vehicle, a detail that became central to the investigation. In both cases, the volume of civilian attention produced a specific detail that the official record absorbed and acted on. Not because law enforcement missed it deliberately, but because no agency has the bandwidth to replicate what hundreds of thousands of people watching the same footage, reading the same reports, and covering the same ground can collectively produce. The streamer who found that bone yesterday was not interfering with an investigation. They were doing what this case has produced for 3 months, a sustained, civilian-driven search for a woman that the official record has not yet found. The bone was prehistoric, but the search that found it was not. And in cases like this one, the next detail that matters may come from exactly the same place. And this outcome was not entirely unexpected. On April 29th, journalist Brian Enton sat down with search expert Bob Kreiger, who had been pushing the Pima County Sheriff's Department for permission to organize a formal desert search. Kreiger was direct about what any organized search of that terrain would produce.
I interviewed the United Cajun Navy yesterday. You remember they wanted to come and search, and they put together a proposal. There was really no response from the sheriff, and now they're going to do a different proposal and see. What do you think about that? Because their whole thing is like, we just want permission and we'll go out in the desert. And he actually told me yesterday, most of their cases, they end up finding things unrelated to the case that they're looking for, but it's something important for another case.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think the sheriff, they should engage with them?
It can't hurt. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of them exactly how they work, but the more eyes out there, someone had asked me recently about, okay, when do we start a grid search of the desert? You don't. That is literally impossible. It would take thousands of people, thousands of years to just search the desert. To do like a 10 by 10 block, that's going to take minutes, so just to get them out there, and if they want to put together a protocol for, how they're going to do it, where they're going to search, have at it, man. The more eyes, the more people looking into it, it keeps it at the forefront. And like you said, they're going to find something. I guarantee if they go out in the desert, they're going to find a body or 2 or 3 or 10. It's just the nature of the desert. And so it's going to either solve another case, it's going to get closure for a family in Mexico or Guatemala who lost a loved one coming across the border, and they've been out there for who knows how long, but it's going to help somebody. So why wouldn't you embrace that?
Days later, a civilian with a live stream found human remains in that desert. Kreiger was right, not about Nancy, but about the desert itself. The factual loop closed within hours of opening, but the emotional one, the one that sent thousands of people to their phones the moment that headline broke, that does not close with a press statement. It does not close with confirmed anthropological findings. It does not close with anything short of the actual answer this case has not yet produced. And that gap between what investigators confirmed and what the reaction revealed is worth sitting with for a moment. Because the reaction was not irrational. It was not the product of people who misread the headline or jumped to conclusions carelessly. It was the product of 100 days of accumulated weight finally finding somewhere to land. A human bone in the desert near Tucson, near her home. Of course, that is where every mind in that comment section went. The math was right there. What the prehistoric assessment tells us is that the desert around Tucson has its own history, separate, older, entirely unconnected to January 31st, and that history occasionally surfaces in ways that intersect with an active missing persons case, in timing if not in fact. What it does not tell us is where Nancy is. If this is your first time on this channel, hit the like button and subscribe to American Case File. We have been covering this case since it broke, and every video in this series is built the same way. Named sources, documented evidence, nothing stated that cannot be backed. Turn on the notification bell because what is coming on this channel tomorrow connects directly to what we are about to cover. Now, the day before the bone, May 6th, Savannah Guthrie left the Today Show 90 minutes into the broadcast. No explanation during the broadcast. NBC did not provide details immediately. An insider later told Page 6 that Savannah left for some sort of appointment and that her exit had nothing to do with her mother. The Daily Mail had previously reported that NBC established a code to alert Savannah of any development in Nancy's case while she is on air. Under that system, if producers tell her she is needed off-set, it signals a case update requiring her immediate attention. That reporting has not been officially confirmed by NBC. The official explanation, an appointment, unrelated to Nancy. May 6th, Savannah leaves early. May 7th, a human bone is found near Nancy's home. The official conclusions on both, unrelated, explained, accounted for. That sequence, 2 days, 2 events that looked like developments, both explained away, is not evidence of anything beyond the documented facts, but it is evidence of how this case lives in the people closest to it, how a daughter cannot step off a television set without the internet holding its breath, how a prehistoric bone in the Sonoran Desert becomes a national news event because a woman named Nancy Guthrie has been missing for 100 days and no one has told her family where she is. Here is where this case actually stands today, documented and confirmed. Nancy Guthrie has been missing since January 31st. Her blood was found outside her home. A masked man appeared on her doorbell camera that night and has not been publicly identified. The DNA recovered from the scene contains genetic material from more than one person, a mixed sample that has complicated efforts to isolate a suspect profile. That sample is currently at the FBI lab in Quantico undergoing advanced testing. Forensic genealogist C.C. Moore assessed the sample as a Hail Mary with a timeline measured in months. The combined reward stands at over $1 million. It is unclaimed. The Pima County Sheriff's Department has confirmed the case remains active. Sheriff Nanos has previously stated that investigators believe the abduction was targeted. His words, they believe they know why the kidnapper did this, but they are not 100% certain. Targeted, planned, executed by at least 2 people based on what the DNA confirms. 100 days in, no arrest, no suspect named publicly. And yesterday, a private citizen found a human bone in the desert near Tucson, and the entire country held its breath for 3 hours. That reaction tells you something that no official statement can. This case has not left the public consciousness, not after 100 days, not after the investigation stalled, not after the Bitcoin trail went cold, not after the 30,000 tips produced nothing publicly actionable. Not after the institutional dispute between the FBI director and the sheriff played out in national headlines. The reaction to yesterday's headline was not the reaction of an audience that has moved on. It was the reaction of an audience that has been waiting, that is still waiting, that is carrying this question the same way it carried it on February 1st. And that audience, the one that stopped scrolling the moment they saw the words human bone and Nancy Guthrie in the same line, deserves to know what is actually happening inside this investigation beyond the headlines that open and close in the same news cycle. So here is what is coming on this channel tomorrow. A forensic psychologist with documented on-record statements about this case has said something that changes the shape of every piece of evidence covered in this video and every video before it. His assessment is not a theory added to an existing framework. It dismantles the framework. He says the crime scene itself may have been staged, that Nancy Guthrie may not have been taken from her home at all, that someone may have gone back to that house after the fact and made it look like a kidnapping happened there, that the actual crime may have happened somewhere else entirely. Think about what that means for the doorbell footage, for the blood found outside the house, for the masked man moving with calculated control through the frame of that camera. If the forensic psychologist's assessment is correct, that man was not taking Nancy anywhere. He was constructing a scene. That video drops tomorrow on this channel. If you are not subscribed, subscribe right now. Because the question that video asks is the most disturbing one this series has raised yet, and the answer, if it exists, is sitting inside an investigation that has been running for 100 days without a public resolution. Nancy Guthrie is still missing. The bone in the desert was not hers. The door that cracked open yesterday morning sealed again by afternoon. But somewhere, in Quantico, in a case file, in a piece of correspondence that has not yet been connected to the right question, the actual answer exists. The investigation is active. The reward is unclaimed. If anything connected to this case has stayed with you, a person whose behavior shifted around January 31st, someone who expressed an unusual interest in Savannah Guthrie, or any detail that has been sitting in the back of your mind since this began, investigators need to hear from you now. You can submit a tip directly to the Pima County Sheriff's Department or through the FBI's national tip line at tips.fbi.gov. The reward in this case stands at over $1 million, and it remains unclaimed. That money exists for exactly one person, one detail, one connection that nobody has made publicly yet. If you have been following this case and something is not sitting right, right now is the time to act on it. And tomorrow, the story gets harder. Subscribe to American Case File. We will be here.